Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. This is the top 10 tips, recommendations, suggestions, hacks, whatever you want to call them. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Thank you again for the sharing. It's been huge. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Number one, let's kick this right off. This is week 11. Wet grain crush, which is called conditioned milling. I know a lot of you just paused and went, huh? Okay. This helps to keep the husk, this is the theory behind it, helps to keep the husk intact, which I can tell you does work, while producing less that powdery from the starches and everything that you need the enzymes to break down into sugars. That's why I have the grain mill out, which is just a simple cereal crusher, and I've got a little bottle of water out here to kind of imagine. Don't have the drill, but it's all okay. So there's a few different techniques, and I've done 2 of these, and the first one worked beautifully. I had good brew house efficiencies at the same time. I had a very clean wort, which was just amazing. But the second time, I had rye in the mix, and rye just gunked up my rollers. It was a nightmare. I had to order special metal scrubbers so I could clean the rollers. I will never do rye again with conditioned milling. There's a couple different techniques out there. One is that you steam your grains for about 90 minutes. I would just imagine a steamer that you use for clothes. I don't know how else to do it. Spray hot water at about 158 Fahrenheit. Not sure if the plastic container can take it, but hey. Or what I did, which was simply spraying very warm water onto my grains. The key is you need to weigh your grains. And there's different people out there thinking different percentages, but the overall theme, should we say, of everything is between 2 to 3% of your total grain weight. So you want to weigh your water, make sure it's about 2 to 3% of your total grain weight. Spray it down, give it 10 to 15 minutes so that it can soak in and everything, and I just bury your hands in there. You should be able to go through it. It should be wet and sticky initially, and then nothing should be really sticky. You just want those grains to absorb the moisture so that they're not dry and brittle where they crack and end up in little bits and pieces. You want them to kind of hold together. So something to try. I'm definitely going to be doing it again in the future. Maybe I'll put that on video and everything and hope for the best, but I'll definitely be avoiding the rye, maybe some wheat, even avoiding the oatmeal. So hey. Number 2, pH matters. You don't have one, get one. This is actually probably the least expensive to me and one of the best pH meters for the price. Dr. Meter pH 100. No, they're not sponsoring this, and I've never talked to them, but it's a great meter. I want to say it's about 30 bucks. It does a great job. Those cheap, crappy ones just seem to suck. I've never had good readings with those things. This thing works really well. It comes with some of the buffers so that you can calibrate it, which you need to do regularly. And then I also will link down below both this in the description, and I'll link the buffers down in the description that I bought. You may find a better value, but they worked for me. They were inexpensive. So it's something to be aware of. But you want a pH range of between 5.2 and 5.4 during your mash. The grains based on this mash will have a huge impact. It's helping with enzymes, and those enzymes are what are converting the starches into sugars. They do really great right between 5.2 and 5.4, but 5.6 isn't too bad either. The other key is if you need to adjust your pH, acetylated, also called acid malt, works great. A little goes a long way. Keep that in mind. You can always add more of things, just hold back a little bit. Phosphoric acid, I've tried a little bit of that, and lactic acid, and I've never noticed any off flavors from adding those. And then of course brewing salts. Brewing salts can help bring both your acidity or your alkalinity up or down based on what you're adding to your actual water or mash water. So something to be aware of. Number 3, step mashing can create off flavors. I'm not saying step mashing is bad, but it can be. And I had personally had a problem with this. But step mashing is there to help you do different things that some people say are not necessary anymore, and other people say it does help. But the key is that if you're low, between 86 and I believe it's about 122, 124, you can get some off-flavored acids that you don't want if you exceed 15 total minutes. So if you're doing it, don't go beyond 10 because it's going to take you a few minutes to raise the temperature and get out of there. Same thing with the next step before you get to your alpha rest, which is I believe about 122 to almost 140. That's the one I had a problem with. It supposedly helps with a clearer beer. It also helps with head retention, but it also helps with FAN, free amino nitrogen, which is something your yeast can use as kind of like, hey, it's food, I need this. Well, Too much fan can create off flavors. I had that problem with some wheat beers I was doing and didn't realize that 20 minutes was way too long at that step. So it took a while to figure it out, but I figured it out. Number 4, mash temps. Might as well go to mash temps. We've hit pH, we've hit step mashing. Now I'm gonna knock things down, it's okay. Mash temps. Don't freak out if your mash temp goes over what you're looking for. Try to get it back down as quickly as possible. Of course, if it spikes for a second, who cares? But don't freak out. If it is a little higher than what you wanted, let it ride, see what happens. Worst case scenario, your beer might be a little sweeter and not as fermentable, but don't freak out. Just let it ride. Number 5, water. Quality water. Quality water. I use distilled or RO, but I prefer distilled, and I add my brewing salts. Number 2, if I don't have that, then I'll go to spring water. If I'm doing extracts, if I'm doing apple ciders, things like that, I need to add water, I'm doing spring water because my assumption is that they've already set these things with an expectation that you're going to use spring water. Number 3 in the water step, worst case scenario, use your city water. If you have great city water and you have a report on it, you know how to adjust it, great. Is city water with a Campton tablet. My problem is I live in Jacksonville, Florida. And in Jacksonville, Florida, sometimes they put so much bleach and chloramine in the water, it smells worse than a public pool as far as the bleach. It is intense. I'm not afraid of the bleach itself because I can add Campton tablets. I am mildly allergic to it, so it does have some issues with me. But my fear is why are they using so much bleach? What do I not know? What do I not want to know? So I just avoid the city water completely. And it's something that I know affects a lot of cities, especially older cities. So something to be aware of. But you know, those are I go distilled, RO, spring. I'm yet to go over here to the city water, but if you have to, you have to. So something to be aware of. Number 6, use the correct grain in your recipes. That's kind of annoying me. Use the correct grains and the correct brand, and I'll explain. When you're building a recipe in Beersmith or Brewfather, anything like that, if you're not using the correct grain, the correct malter or whoever's producing this, you could be off. And I say that because I was using a Belgian Pilsner and I was doing great. And then I went to my local brew shop and I bought myself some more base malt because I needed more Pilsner. And I bought Weyermann's German Pilsner. And when I put it into my recipe, my ABV jumped up. I was like, whoa, that was significant. Had a higher diastatic power, which means they were expecting me to get more enzymes to create more sugars from the starches and have a higher, basically a higher ability to get a higher level ABV. So yeah, the efficiencies went up based on that malt. Had I not updated that, I would have thought my brewhouse efficiency had jumped when really it didn't. It was that I had the wrong malt in there. At the same time, if I was using the German Weyermann and I put the Belgian into my mash and didn't update my recipe, it would look like my efficiencies were lower than they really were. So use the correct malt and the correct brand when you're putting it into your recipe so you can get the correct information out of your recipe and understand where you're going to end up, or at least where you hope to end up. Number 7, watch others. Huh? What? Yeah, I know. Okay. My kid came home one time, had my 2 boys, and he says, hey Dad, I have this math problem. I don't understand, and I love math. But instead I said, let me show you, because I like to help people help themselves instead of just being there for them all the time. And I put it into Google and hey, there was the answer and there was how they got the answer. Someone else has probably already done something you're looking to do. So when it comes to brewing, fermenting, anything related to what we talk about, someone somewhere has already done it. And hopefully you can learn from their mistakes, save some time, save some money. But YouTube, do a search on YouTube, do a search on Google. Try to find what you're looking to do and see what they did. And one of the things I love, especially since I'm by trade a network engineer or in IT, is that when I'm getting ready for a certification in IT, I start looking through and I'm reading, and I start finding mistakes in the book or the training materials. I know that I now know what I'm talking about and I understand it fully. The same thing, you might spot mistakes they made that they didn't even realize they made. And that's going to help you be able to do whatever you're looking to do with less problems, less issues, and kind of you're doing a run through, but on their time and, well, your time too, but their money. So watch others, learn from others, and then do it, saving yourself time, saving yourself money, and just making it easier for yourself. I do that now when I'm cooking and trying to create a recipe or something I've never cooked before. What the hell did everybody else do? How'd they do it? Oh yeah, I like that recipe, but I hate this, and I'm gonna move this item over here, and oh, I see why they, understand why they did it too. It helps with a lot of things. Number 8, and this goes without saying, anybody who's been home brewing for a while knows this. Practice. If this is my first brew, it might be good, but it's not gonna be great. It's your first brew. If you're practicing and you're constantly brewing and you're learning and getting better and you're documenting what you're doing so you can repeat it, you're going to get better and the brews are going to get better. That person who's done 200, 400, 500, 1,000 brews, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to expect their beer to be really good. I'm not saying they don't have off days. I'm not going to say they don't have bad brews from time to time. But in general, they're probably pretty damn good at what they do because they've been doing it for so long and hopefully have a good process down and a good system, and they're producing quality product. If not, I would run the other way, but I would expect good quality product from someone who's been practicing that long. Number 9, support your local home brew shop. Unless you have some turf war with them or you actually can't stand the person, always support your local home brew shop. Get your malts there, your base malts, your yeast, whatever you can buy there. I know you're going to find great deals online and take advantage of those. I definitely am. I'm all about saving money. I'm not, wealthy or anything by any means. So the key is if you're supporting your local homebrew shop, they're going to be in business and they're going to stay in business when you need them. I guarantee you that big retailer online that's pumping out product left and right really doesn't have time to really focus on your little issues or your minor issues, and that's what they look at it because they might not have time. Now, if it's a small online homebrew shop, they might, but your local homebrew shop relies on your business to stay in business, and I guarantee you they have a wealth of information because they're constantly talking to other homebrewers just like you, and they can help you. I went in there, I had some problems at one time, and I went to my local homebrew shop, and he's like, well, hey, did you try this? And I was like, didn't try that. Thanks a lot. I went home, there's the problem, fixed. So local homebrew shop, support it. Number 10, and this is one that I know you may or may not take with a grain of salt, or you may get it right away and go, I got it. Take yourself out of your comfort zone, which means try new things. Try something new. If all you're doing is brewing light beers and you haven't brewed a dark beer, brew a dark beer. If all you do is brew stouts and you've never brewed a lighter beer, brew a lighter beer. If you've never brewed a lager, try a lager if you can, of course, get the temperatures where you need. I understand that sometimes can be an issue. But try new things. Towards the end of the year last year, I bought some wine and I started trying to make some wines. Never made wine. And to me, I know, doing wine from the grape itself might be kind of hard, but to me, compared to brewing beer, wine was really easy. That's my opinion. Sorry, any winemakers out there that think it's very difficult, but to me, compared to beer, that was really easy. I was impressed with how easy that was. So take yourself out of your comfort zone. You might be surprised at the things that you're capable of, or you might find something that, hey, you know what? This is kind of cool. This is a little change. I had never done an extract in 5 years of brewing, and this will be year 6. I did several extracts this year in 2020, and some came out good, some came out amazing. I didn't expect that from an extract, so that was something cool. And I can't really say it took me out of my comfort zone because it was so easy, but to me, when it's raining and thunder and lightning outside, it gave me something to do and I enjoyed it. And then when I got to actually try the beer, I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good. So just try something new. It is what it is. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Greatly appreciate all the support. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and thank you again, and have a wonderful holiday.